Hello, lower fours, and welcome to the third week of photo editing. For this lesson, we're going to be looking at adjusting the curves of a photograph. And by that, we're going to be adjusting how white the whites are, how black the blacks are, and then how red, green, and blue our photographs are. And what's nice is that with the curves tool, you can adjust at different points. So you can make like the brighter reds more prominent and the darker reds less prominent. Go from there. So let me open up a photograph to work with. Even if you haven't been able to get GIMP going, you should be able to do this in any other photo editing application that you have, because most apps will have some way to at least adjust the colors and the levels. So let's start off with a zebra. Okay, so I took this photograph of a zebra, and I mean, hopefully, again, this is always going to be a little bit subjective as to what looks better, and also, you know, the brightness and settings and stuff on my monitor are not going to be the same as yours. But hopefully you can see that this just looks like a little bit washed out, like the whites aren't very bright and the blacks are a little bit kind of dull, and we want to sort of sharpen that up. So what I'm going to go to do is I'm going to go to colors and I'm going to curves. So now you could play around. If you don't have a curves tool in your app, you can probably do something with brightness and contrast. The issue is that, you know, that often adjusts the whole photograph, or you can only adjust the highs and the lows separately, whereas curves gives you a bit more flexibility. So that's why we're going to use curves. And I mean, we're going to be quite, so basically over here, this diagonal line represents the sort of like the curves between black and white. And you can do all kinds of weird things, like over here. This is just making it darker. In fact, there we've gone completely black because we've got no brightness whatsoever. Here I've inverted the black and white entirely, so you get this weird kind of like negative thing. I suppose this isn't actually the black and white. This is like sort of like the overall channel. Let's just bring that back. Cool, there we go. And so what I can do is I can say, right, let's add a little bit of contrast, and we form what's kind of like an S-type curve. So I'm just going to click somewhere here. This was like, you know, just to the left bottom third. You can see that's increased the contrast. And then let's pump up the brightness like a little bit as well. Okay, and that seems a little bit too much, and I think I've overdone it on the contrast. So let's perhaps go over there. And then I do want to try and get like the actual stripes just a little bit deeper. So I'm going to add just a little bit more in the darker bits. And you can see that's not really adjusting the whole photograph as badly as it was, but it is giving me much sort of snappier sort of like blacks. That looks way nicer, I think. Maybe just a little bit overdone, but whatever. There we go. So that's how using, and what we can do is we can say, let's try increase just the white part, like get the zebra to really sort of like pop with the black and white. And I think that looks quite nice. So I can click OK. Let's just undo that. And you can see there, looks all faded, boring and stuff. Let's redo it. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so I'd like you to try and download Zebra and try and make it like adjust the curves in the way you think makes it actually look quite cool. You might also want to, if you want to go to the greens, so you might want to go to the greens and maybe just do a little bit of the greens. We don't want to sort of change the stripes of the zebra. So again, I'll just adjust the upper bits of the greens and then maybe the very bottom bits of the greens. Let's see what that looks like if I undo that. If I redo it, just making the green a little bit more. And there, so you play around, save it, upload it, do something there. Let's take a look at another photograph. So let's open up Giraffe. Once again, a little bit lame. So here, this one, I think, if I recall, because I've fiddled with these photographs a little bit. If I recall, you actually didn't want to go too far on either side. Again, give it a little bit of this S curve here. Maybe go to the reds. Yeah, it's a little bit dull. See, maybe just pick the reds up a little bit. And down there a bit. Then I don't want the trees looking so kind of orangey. So maybe just turn the green up just a little bit. Although you can see immediately that starts impacting the giraffe quite a bit. So maybe get the darker greens down. I quite like that actually. And then the brighter green there. I don't know. A little bit trickier, honestly, to get this one going. So I think don't bother uploading this one, but you can certainly download it and play around with it a bit. Let's try another one. So over here, I took specifically, I overexposed a tree. I took it perhaps the wrong way around. I'm going to ask it to rotate, but whatever. I mean, you can always rotate. Here you can see I specifically took a photograph like pointing near the sun. Do not look at the sun. Do not point your camera at the sun. Okay. You know, you might either damage either your eyes or the camera. So over here, you can see it's definitely overexposed. So let's see if we can do something with curves there. So once again, I think give it a bit of contrast. And I think that's immediately looking better. There's still a bit of a lens flare, but you know, there's not too much we can do about that. So here I'm actually being quite generous with the contrast because it was so overexposed. Let's go to the greens. Maybe a little bit with the greens. Give me some darker greens, definitely. Actually, no. Let's turn the darker greens up. Let's maybe turn the brighter greens down a bit. Actually, I think that's quite nice. There we go. Yeah. And then maybe with the blue, let's just try and get the sky going up a bit. So just the bright blues. Get that. See what happens if we play around here. Nothing. I don't think I want to do any of those. So let's get that back to where it was. Okay. And I think that looks, we've immediately, I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's a billion times better than it used to be. And let's try one last one. So let's take a look at this plant with red flowers. Once again, rotate it. And over here, I think let's just see what we can do. I think the contrast was actually all right, but even there, I think actually, you know, just giving it a little bit, making the shadows just a little bit deeper. But again, you know, like we're being quite, we're not making huge adjustments here. Maybe bump that up a bit. So what happens if we take the midtones up or down a bit? I actually think taking the midtones down a bit is actually quite nice there. That's quite cool. And then, you know, I think the real sort of point of interest is like all of the red flowers. So let's really just give it a red. But again, we only want the bright reds. So in fact, if we turn everything else down and really pump the bright reds up, I feel like that's quite nice. And there we go. So what I'd like you to do, there's been quite a quick a video, but really it's a case of, you know, you just open up the curves tool and play around with whatever you have. You know, let's just, yeah, I definitely think I prefer the edited version. So, you know, open up some photos, play around with them, and then I think what I'd like you to do, so I'd like you to hand in the zebra one, because I think it's quite easy to make noticeable changes to that one. And I'd like you to hand in the overexposed tree one. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take any photograph, either of yourself or something cool at your house or whatever. Obviously, because of COVID, you know, please don't go wandering around the neighborhood or anything. So something cool in your garden or inside your house, or maybe yourself or your family or something. Take a photo and then try and take a slightly bad photo. So try and make it overexposed or something, or underexposed. And then, or even if you take a decent photograph, see if you can go into curves and like edit it to make it look even better. So you're going to hand in the zebra modified. You're going to hand in the overexposed tree modified. And then you're going to hand in the original photograph you took. And then you're going to hand in an edited version of the photograph. Thank you.